Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the GGB Supplier Showcase. As always, I am your host, Jess Marquez, and I am so pleased to be joined this morning by a recurring guest, a friend of the program, none other than Noah Akers of Akers Manufacturing. How are you doing today, sir?
Good, Jess. How are you? Good to see you.
It's great. It's great. It's full time, full blown time of the year. Everyone's running at full speed, and there's an excitement, but also a stress in the air. So it's good to see you, as
That's
always.
100%. And I could tell you that actually today we're shipping everything to G2E. So it's like one of the drop dead days that we have is today. So it is an interesting time of the year for sure.
Well, in that case, I'm even more thankful for you taking the time to be here with us today. So, again, thank you. I really love talking to you, and especially anything acres related, because I feel just as a personal aside, but I feel on the editorial side, I myself am guilty of this as well. But we can get a little carried away with our adjectives in terms of innovation, disruption, all these kind of terms that we like to throw around. But I genuinely do feel at this point in time that the Acres brand is one of the few meaningful embodiments of those terms. And every time I talk to you, I feel like I'm kind of getting like the cutting edge, the inside scoop of what the industry will be like to come in the future. And we've got two such advancements to talk about today. I want to start with a conversation about ticketing and bonusing. So you guys recently unveiled TIBO, or Ticket In Bonus Out. I really like that name. It's really catchy. But other than that, kind of what was the impetus for the project, and kind of what need does it fill among the industry?
So I think just very basically, TIBO fills the need for more player entertainment and more player engagement. Just that's the start and end of it. Virtually every slot machine has a ticket printer installed on it, but up until now, the ticket printers have only been used to print the cash out vouchers, right? So you hit cash out and you get the voucher for whatever amount you had on the credit meter. TIBO allows casinos to leverage the real-time gaming events to pop out a custom ticket from the ticket printer. That ticket could be like a coupon, something that leads you to like a redemption center or redemption website, or it can be a voucher that you can actually stick right back into the gaming machine for credit that can be, what we call restricted credit, which is free play, or unrestricted credit, which you can cash out. So it can be a coupon, or it can be stuck right back into the game for more play credits.
So, in terms of like the nuts and bolts in the back end of this, how does it tie into, is it technology neutral? Does it tie into all existing systems? Kind of how does that work in terms of installation?
Well, so to be clear, we're trying to replace the existing systems that are prevalent today, and
Okay.
we think that TIBO is one of the core components that will help us do so. We can install TIBO as a carve out. So let's say you have, I don't know, an IGT system, you could do just TIBO and keep the rest of your IGT system, and it would work. But clearly, we're trying to replace the whole CMS. But to discuss TIBO specifically, I think there's three key components that make TIBO possible, and each is enabled by our foundation hardware that goes into the slot machine. The first component is Foundation's real-time event stream. It reports every machine and player event in real time, and this is what allows us to use any real-time player experience to trigger a TIBO print. The second component would be the second component of TIBO would be Foundation's ability to directly connect to and command the ticket printer. So we actually designed Foundation with more like connectivity ports. The hardware actually has more connectivity ports, so that we can connect to like a ticket printer, a bill validator, a card reader, any other accessory device that's installed in the slot machine. We can actually connect to that and kind of have our own command channel to that. So now we can command the ticket printer separately from the slot machine's cash out button. And then so these first two components kind of constitute the bonus out function of TIBO, right? So that allows us to print a ticket for new reasons. But the third component is what allows us to do the ticket in aspect, and that's when Acres and Foundation completely takes over the entire TITO server. And
Mhm.
so when we replace TITO, there's a component of TITO called the TITO ledger and I'm getting real technical, I'm sorry.
No, this is good. This is why I asked for the information.
Yeah, so there's a TITO ledger that kind of just has a summary of all the active TITO tickets, and it says which one has which value, and it kind of validates all of them. And so when we manage that ledger, it gives us the ability to essentially create new tickets of value, and those tickets of value can be inserted right back into the slot machine for validation. So those are the three components of ticket in and bonus out.
Well, that's fascinating, and I guess that kind of ties into where, as far as I can tell, this was announced in mid March, correct?
Mhm.
So where does that put us? We're in September, so where does that put us in terms of rollout? Or is it still like in the final stages of development? Is it deployed? What kind of feedback have you gotten? Where are we at in the process?
Yeah, so actually, unfortunately, gaming takes a while to get stuff out. There's a lot of regulatory approvals and a lot of hurdles to pass inside casinos. But we've actually to date, we have successfully deployed the bonus out functionality with success. That component has been field trialed and approved by NGCB, which is
That's
the
huge.
Nevada Gaming Control Board. And now what we're doing is we're working on more innovative bonuses, like for instance, a real-time 4 of a kind bonus in video poker, where a video poker player might get quads and then we pop out a ticket bonus, or maybe something that's tied to a live sports score, like if the Raiders score a touchdown, we could pop out a ticket. They only scored 10 points last week, so maybe we need a higher scoring team. But then in terms of another test we're doing in parallel is we're actually working on the approval for the TIBO portion of it. So we expect to launch that any week now. And once we finish that, we will kind of bring it all together and then really be able to elevate the entire TIBO campaign.
Well, I'm fascinated to see it develop. And you mentioned that the field trials in Nevada already completed, or they're being conducted right now?
So we've done in Nevada, we've done the bonus out field trial, and now we're any week now we'll be embarking on the ticket in, ticket out field trial. And
Oh,
so
wow.
once that's done, we can bring them together and really start to change the player experience through TIBO.
Wow, that's huge. I mean, from what I understand, the Nevada trials are especially huge for these type of products. I want to kind of move on now to the subject of enrollment, which is also a big part of your guys' strategy. And I've really been interested. You guys have put out a lot of fascinating research in the last year or so, and truly, I mean, some of these, the reports that you guys have published have been really eye-opening. And one of the more noteworthy ones was that you guys have said that approximately $5 billion is being lost annually to outdated loyalty systems. So what kind of inspired that report, and kind of what I'm assuming you've gotten a lot of feedback from it from around the industry, I would assume. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's 5 billion with a B. It's a huge
Yeah.
number. It's and I think the top line slot revenue was like 70 or 71 billion, and so that really represents, like, I think it's 6 or 7% of the total net win just being lost to this enrollment process. And so in terms of technology, casinos are literally decades behind other industries, and the results are really beginning to show in the bottom line. If you look at slot revenues specifically, the industry today, or the industry in 2022, produced less revenues than it did in 2007 when you adjust for inflation. So we're on a negative slope in terms of slot operations. And then you look at the players. You go to any casino, you look at the players, and you notice that the player base, particularly of slot machines, is aging, and that means that casinos are failing to convert new and younger players, which is going to have major negative implications for the future of casino profitability, particularly when it comes to slot operations. So then you step back and you say, okay, well, why aren't we gaining new players? And you look at how many steps it takes a player to enroll in a players club. You have to walk over to a player club, stand in line, get your ID out, hand it to a person, so on and so forth. And that's just way more friction than any other consumer industry that at least I've experienced in a long time. And if you're in a business, and I mean any business, not just casinos, if you have a loyalty program, the number one priority of that loyalty program is database acquisitions. If you don't get database acquisitions, there's no loyalty. There's no loyalty to be earned. So the truth today is that casinos are just not well equipped to enroll new players because there are too many steps in the process. It is too time consuming. It requires a physical player card that no other industry still uses today. I mean, like, almost, I can't really think of anybody. Even Costco has an app now. And all of that, when you add it up, it's over $5 billion of lost profits per year. It's really indisputable. In terms of the feedback that we've gotten, I think it's just a lot of agreement. Operators are frustrated because they haven't really been given modern technology to compete against other forms of consumer entertainment. And that's really the niche that Acres is trying to fulfill right now.
Well, it's interesting, and these conversations are so interesting to me personally because having been born and raised, in Reno, it's funny because obviously I grew up surrounded by the industry. I was in and out of casinos my entire childhood, and then I kind of obviously went to school and everything, and then I came back to the industry as an adult, and I was amazed to see how much of the same processes and everything was still the same. And I was kind of like,
Yeah.
for a while, I was kind of like, oh, well, I guess it does move slow, and these conversations are very interesting to me specifically for that reason. So soon after you guys released the study, you guys also unveiled the 10-second enrollment feature for your foundation CMS. Could you kind of go into that and kind of break down the technology behind it and what you hope to accomplish?
Yeah, so we call our casino management system Foundation HQ.
Hmm.
Foundation HQ is unique because it rates all uncarded play. So today, if you go into a casino and you don't play with a card, there's no real ability for the system to kind of attribute all of that play to a specific player. We can do that because we're measuring all the data in real time. I can see a bill insertion, I can see your pace of play, and then I can see your cash out, and I can correlate all that to say, hey, that was one player, and we can do that in real time. And so for every play session that occurs, we produce, or Foundation HQ produces what's called a play code. So envision like a QR code or maybe a text code that, and we'll drop it in on the display screen that we provide. And the player can actually take their phone and like scan that QR code or text that play code to a specific number. And then, it takes about 10 seconds just to enroll from there. So if you scan the QR code, you go to a website, maybe you have autofill, you just, for me, I hit in and everything else fills out, Noah Acres, my address, all that kind of stuff. And then if you texted the play code, it just goes to a number. But the result is that your 10-digit phone number or your email address becomes your player card. And so you just scan the play code or text the play code. Now you're either a new member or you're a returning member that's now carded into the game without the physical player card. So that whole process for enrollment, it takes about 10 seconds. And if you just step back and look at it from the player's perspective, if you sit there and you're playing uncarded, you have two options and both of them are bad today. The first option is just sit there and continue playing and not get rewarded by the loyalty program. And the second option is to stop playing, get up and leave and go through the, friction, the process of enrollment, which is full of friction, right? So standing in line, walking over, standing in line, giving your ID, all that kind of stuff. It's really time consuming and it reduces the number of signups. So that we think that by bringing this all to the player right there at the game as they play, making it incredibly easy, removing all the friction, allowing a 10-second enrollment process is going to dramatically increase the number of new enrollments that the casino is able to get. And it's technology like this that we think is going to save the industry from the current path of aging out, unfortunately.
Well, I definitely see what you mean. And, oftentimes, the simplicity for the end user is the difficulty for, the industry behind it. So I can only imagine how much, legwork and time and research has gone into making things as simple as that, for the player. And I think that's to be applauded. So moving forward from a business perspective, how big, I guess I would say, how big of a role will these two specific developments play in your guys' overall plans moving forward? Do you think that, if things go well, would you like to see them become a large part of your offerings, or kind of where do they fall within the overall framework of the company, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think that both are two really key components of Foundation HQ. So there's the enrollment piece, and then there's the loyalty piece, which is what happens after the enrollment. And we really want to become the loyalty company. Casinos, Jess, you said you grew up in Reno, you've been to a million different casinos, and when you stop and you think about all your experiences, what differentiates one casino from another once you step foot inside? All the employees kind of fill the same roles. They have mainly the same games. The layouts look kind of the same. The only difference that casinos are able to kind of make on their own is the physical attributes of the building. So they can make it nicer, they can make it bigger, they can make it cleaner, more fancy, all those things to attract customers. But when it comes to the actual operation of the games and how players are treated and spoken to and marketed to, they're all using the same set of tools that is, 2 decades out of flavor. And so we want to be the technological leader of the industry, and we want to be the loyalty company. That's really where our focus is.
So I'll get you out of here on this, and thanks again for taking the time. But we're right around the corner from G2E. I guess simply put, what are your hopes and expectations for the show, and kind of, extending beyond that into probably say the first half of next year. So short-term future goals. Where are you guys at?
Well, yeah. So really at G2E, we're showcasing a lot of the technology that we've talked about already, from the enrollment to TIBO. We're still doing cashless and some bonusing. But really, going into 2024, our attention is turning to the launch of Foundation HQ. We expect to launch our CMS very early in the year. Very early in January is the current projected go live date, and we expect to scale up from there. So really, our messaging is turning specifically to Foundation HQ and loyalty, and that's where we're going from here. So we expect throughout the course of 2024 to get a good number of installs for Foundation HQ, and then we're going to start to put some meat on the bones in terms of, instead of you asking me about conceptually things about enrollment and TIBO, we're going to be talking about actual impacts that we've made, and we're going to grow from there.
Well, I love it. Well, Noah, that's all I had for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I feel like every time we talk, I myself, and hopefully the viewers as well, get a little bit smarter. So I will be curiously watching the Acres journey from here. And thank you again, my friend.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate your time, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you for joining us for the GGB Gaming Supplier Showcase, our exclusive look at the best products and services produced by vendors for the gaming, iGaming, and sports betting industries. For more information about the GGB Supplier Showcase, contact Terry Brady at tbrady@ggbmagazine.com.